This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Tuesday, May 26th. This is an experimental format, and this is a little bit different from the previous experimental methods that we showed yesterday. We took some feedback into account. So have a look at this one, and please leave a comment in the comments section. In order to do that, you'll have to be logged into Google, and you'll have to be opening this up in YouTube, and you'll see a whole bunch of comments sections available below, or email me. You'll see the email at the end of the briefing. Definitely appreciate your opinions, and we try to tailor things according to our user input. So overall, weather issue, gusty winds, some strong winds up to 45 miles an hour across eastern Nevada, western Utah today, and it'll shift eastwards towards eastern Utah, towards the Arizona Strip tomorrow and Thursday. And from a fuel point of view, it is complicated. Fuels have been drying steadily the last couple of days, but a lot of areas in eastern Utah and southern Utah did get some rain the past 24 hours. And there'll be some significant moistening in previously dry areas across western Nevada and western Idaho. So on the impact map for today, we see those strong winds here highlighted across the Nevada-Utah border, and it'll stretch further eastwards. There'll still be some spotty showers isolated where you see the dots through there, a bit wetter as you head further north, and then the wind, the critical winds with low humidity spread further eastwards and southwards tomorrow. At the same time, it's in response to a deeper low pressure area, so an area of fairly steady rain across western areas, leftover isolated showers across parts of central Nevada and into Idaho. And there'll be some wind even north of this area, but the humidity, once you get west of the Utah-Nevada border, should be coming up fairly quickly. We'll see that in a second. And then still some critical winds and low humidity in far eastern portions of Utah. Some of these areas did get some rain overnight, a low-end wetting rain, so it could be that the first day or two may need to dry out before these areas become fully critical, but the wetness continues in the west. Overall, did have some of that precipitation shown here on the left. A couple of hundredths of an inch, a tenth of an inch, some pockets of a quarter inch in the darker blue across parts of eastern Utah and stretching up further north into Idaho. And you see the lightning strikes, a fair amount of them scattered across the area. So most of them came with a little bit of rain. We'll see how holdovers do in the coming days, because overall, the past 7 days, it has been quite dry, and fire activity definitely picking up. These larger red circles are larger fires of a couple hundred or a couple of thousand acres. We've had 17 fires for 7,717 acres, 5 new large fires. This looks more like a early July map than a late May map, that is for sure. Looking at the flash drought index over the last 2 months, most critical areas in the south and southeast, but they are starting to spread northwards towards the Idaho border. And our 10-hour fuels starting to really dry out. This is a kind of a wedge that's going from southeast to northwest. A lot of this area in Idaho and northern Nevada will be modified quite a bit today and in the coming days with showers and a significant rise in humidity. And that's all due to this low pressure area. It's kind of a new format. Make this map a little bit bigger. You can see what's going on. And the moisture in a dark green, but still some dry air wrapping around across parts of southern Utah and into eastern Utah. But every place where you see the green on westwards, things are quite moist. Tight packing of these height lines indicates some very strong upper level winds. The low doesn't move too much, kind of sits in place in California on Wednesday, but you can see this big wedge of dry air pushing into eastern Utah with some of these stronger winds. That's our concern area, and we still have that concern area even on Thursday with that dry wedge of air and the strong winds, but you can see the air mass becomes significantly more moist from the Utah mountains on westward. So our 7-day outlook for the first 3 days, we do have high risk for those winds where they overlay with fuels that are marginally critical. Some areas, like here in the Fish Lake, the fuels may not quite be there fully in all areas, but we have elevated it to a brown. Same thing for the northern Ely district. There'll be some strong winds. Fuels may not quite be there in all areas, especially higher terrain, but could still be a factor. Same story on Wednesday. This is the highest risk for wind with driest fuels, and a lot of these areas in eastern Utah did get some precipitation over the last 24 hours, so we've kind of highlighted them more brown, but where we think fuels are most combustible with those critical winds, that's where we've issued this high risk. You notice the green area overspreading much of the region. Now we get into the meat of it, and you can see these strong winds, all these purples. That could be gusts approaching 50 miles an hour in some areas. Humidity bone dry along the Utah and Nevada border. A little bit higher in eastern Utah at the present time. You see those stronger winds, and there's a belt of them. The eastern section will be where the driest humidity is, so it's good looking at it side by side. Some really strong winds in eastern Nevada, but the humidities are in the upper teens to mid 20% range. It'll be climbing. There could be some spotty showers, and fuel's still here marginally critical at best or not at all, so not as big of a concern. And again, you can see the driest humidity here on Thursday with those strongest winds, and that's where we have the area concern the most. Precipitation the next 3 days, some spotty precipitation in eastern areas, heavier as you get over parts of Nevada and into much of Idaho, and that precipitation with that stationary low continues, a tenth or a quarter inch each of the next couple of days. It'll add up and even into Thursday, but eastern areas do dry out. Now, as we go into the upper air pattern on Friday, that low weakens, but it's still over the area, and some showers over eastern Utah finally, and into, again, Idaho. And that low and moisture finally moves out. We get drier air pushing in. High pressure, weak high pressure starts building in a little bit, so we should see a warm up and a drying out as we go into the weekend into early next week. Deep low pressure well off to our northwest. So our 7-day outlook, days 4 through 6, you can see that a lot of places have moistened up Friday and Saturday, but we do start to see a drying trend starting on Sunday in our southern areas. The winds, still some breezy winds and some low humidity in the far eastern areas of Utah. We'll have to watch that. Otherwise, lighter winds Saturday and Sunday. You can see the humidity where it's driest in the south and where it's still fairly high. But even in Nevada, we should see a drying out process. Precipitation days 4 through 6. So some light to moderate precipitation in Nevada. They're going to get quite a bit before it dries out over the weekend. And our 7-day outlook, just to sum things up, high risk for wind in our southern and eastern areas, and even these areas in the brown that you see here are still an elevated risk, just not quite over the most critical fuels, or some of these areas did have a tenth to a quarter inch of rain in the last 24 hours, but that could quickly dry out, so it's a little tricky. Then we kind of quiet things down over the weekend, but then start drying things out Sunday and especially Monday. See more of the brown starting to come into play, and Nevada will probably start drying out shortly. But they're going to get a lot of precipitation. It's going to take quite a bit to drive them back towards critical levels. 6 to 10 day outlook shows warmer than normal conditions and a wetter than normal signal across New Mexico and maybe our far eastern areas, but I wouldn't bet too much on this eastern edge, and this time of year, a little above normal is really not much at all. So again, you see the emails through there. Please send me a message saying whether you like it, don't like it, this new format compared to the one we showed yesterday and the previous weeks. We're curious to know. Have a good one.